I have become a zealot of the works of Mr. Lyell and geologizing in South America. I am tempted to take it even further than he. Right, so now he is a convert to deep time, and he has the zeal of a convert, and he ends up in the Galapagos, and you know that portion of the story, which is a bit of a legend, really, because Darwin, yeah, he goes to the Galapagos and he collects lots of birds in the Galapagos. He has no idea what those birds mean when he's in the Galapagos. It's not until years later he brings them back to London. He gives them to Professor Hook, who's an ornithologist, who then tells Darwin, hey, you know, you have a lot of different species here. So it's many, many years later that Darwin starts to understand the significance of what we know now as Darwin's finches. This was not some epiphanic episode that he had in the Galapagos. That would happen many years later. So Darwin gets back and he's mulling over these ideas, and you know he's a gentleman scientist. He doesn't have a proper job. He comes from a rich family, and then he married Emma Wedgwood, as in Wedgwood, China. So he doesn't really have to worry about money. He doesn't have to worry about tenure. He doesn't have to worry about the fact that it took him 25 years to publish a book. Darwin would actually not get tenure today with that record. But eventually, he not only gains the insight, but he gains the strength and the courage to write down what he now understands about Earth history. And the philosopher Daniel Dennett, who's alive today, great living philosopher, he wrote that Charles Darwin has had the single best idea that any human has ever had. And I think that might be true. And really, when we talk about Darwin's theory of evolution, it's really 5 things. 3 of them are borrowed ideas, such as that, you know, the idea of, they didn't call it evolution then, they called it transmutation, but Darwin's father wrote about transmutation. There was already this idea that organisms somehow changed over time. There were other ideas that he co-opted, but his 2 really great original ideas were universal common descent, so that all organisms are related to all other organisms on Earth, and they all trace back to a common microbial ancestor. We know now from molecular biology, from genetics, that that is in fact true. And we can see how related we are to a rat, to a carrot, to a jellyfish, and you know those relationships are about what you would expect, right? We're pretty closely related to rats. We have a common ancestor with rats that 90 million years ago in the mid-Cretaceous. We're not so much related to a carrot, but some, actually, like about 50% of our DNA, and then you know less as you get into like archaea bacteria and things like that. But